Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the tangle. This is a Zentangle Original Tangle, Mysteria. Now, this is a fun one. And let's see, do I want to do my four corners and the border? No. Okay. Sometimes I don't think about it till I do it, and then sometimes I change my mind. All right. This one is neat. And it's similar to Hollabow. So if you've done Hollabow, you will see the similarities. And if not, I do have a video on Hollabow. To me, it's one of the classics. It's actually one that we generally teach in. I teach it in my Zentangle Essentials because it teaches an essential technique, and that is the art of drawing under. So you'll get a little bit of this now, along with the variation. Okay, so Mysteria starts off with some squiggly lines. So pick an angle, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go quite to the border or not, but okay, so I'm just drawing, okay, just a squiggly line. Then we're essentially going to aura this line. So actually this kind of teaches both techniques at the same time. And well, I'm going to start here. But what we do with this is, so it's a little bit different aura. So we're going to start at the same point, pull away just a little bit, and then you can decide, you know, how far apart, you know, or how wide you want your, I don't know, these look like streamers sort of to me. How wide you want those to be. Then, turn your towel. What I find that I need to do for these types of, this is kind of like a freeform tangle. What I need to do is kind of like like doing a spinner. I wanted to say spin the bottle. I've never played spin the bottle, even when I was a kid. I don't even know if people know what that is anymore. But, so I turn my tile. I'm trying not to pay attention to how I've turned it. Put my pen down, and then I'm going to draw another squiggly line, kind of going in a, well, that's not very squiggly. Okay, I'll end it up squiggly. Like so. I have trouble with this one because it's so freeform. And that's just me. And I like to have these kind of come out for a little point there. All right, and then same thing. Oh, and you know what? I neglected to explain the Hollabow part. So let me do that right now. So I'm going to pick this angle, and I'm going to draw another squiggly line. And what I'm going to do is I'm not colliding, or I'm not drawing over with what's already drawn. So, and I'm going to go slower, which might help just overall. Pick up my pen, put it down on the other side, continue with whatever I'm doing on that squiggle. And like that. And then when we aura, same thing. This is a little bit more forgiving, by the way, than when we do regular Hollabow, which is straight lines, because it's really important to have your pen kind of travel over, so that way, because I've done this before where, you know, I go so far and then I, you know, get distracted and then I go to continue, and sometimes it's not always exactly right on, because what we want to give the impression of is that we're drawing behind. All right, so then doing this one here, same idea. But like I said, because this one, we're curving anyway, it doesn't matter as much. And it is kind of nice. And then again, just turn in the tangle. Actually, I think I'm going to go over this. I'm going to try to add some like extra curves or something. Like I said, I have a challenge with this one just because, number one, I don't want it to look contrived. That is always an issue with me. So then I have it end up looking like a grid or something. I'm gonna even, there we go. Just go a little crazy. I'm making squiggly lines in a straight line is what I have been doing. And so you could, I mean, literally you could do whatever you want, as most of us know if you've been tangling for a while. Okay, and then up here, why don't I do maybe a curved squiggly line? See, and then too, once you've done the one side, you can decide, well, which side do I want to aura it on? Which sometimes is a nice bit of a safety, because I've done this before where I've gotten a little too close to something else, and it's like, you know. All right, and then, you know, when you're done, you feel like, oh, okay, that looks good, then you're done. Now, this one, we put behind it, it's essentially tipple. But we're just going to put some orbs. And when I did this at on a Tangle Time, this was quite some time ago, and the joke was this was the Million Orb Challenge, because I had paired it with something else that I ended up also adding orbs behind. Actually, it was one called Quib, and I think I have a video. I have to make sure. I started doing these videos after I started doing the Tangle Time, and I would kind of add some new ones in along with what I had already done, because I, have the need, because I want to create a step out with my own hands. I do that for all of my classes and for all of this, because, we don't want to, just because, it's kind of one of those, we just have to do our own work. And I do like to share the authors, of the Tangle. I like to share their work if it's available. So that's why I like to share on Tangle Patterns. Actually, this one, oddly, isn't even listed on Tangle Patterns. And I know that Linda over at Tangle Patterns, for the Zentangle Original Tangles, if it wasn't published, then she wouldn't publish the step outs. It was kind of one of those things where I think maybe at one time they saved reserved some tangles for certified Zentangle teachers, just so that way there's a little bit of a extra benefit to working with a CZT. But now we're so much more in the digital age. Not that it wasn't even then, because we certainly were in the digital age then, but now it's just so much more. And I think lots of things are out there. So again, we're just adding orbs. And what I might do, and actually I'm not going all the way to the edge. What I would typically do if I was filling in a section with this is I would fill in the entire section, but I was thinking it kind of looks neat not doing that. Add some ones. So what, and actually before, because I'm thinking, well, I should probably pause this so you are not tortured, but maybe, hopefully you're tangling along. And this way you don't also have to pause. But I thought, well, I'm just going to fill it in, because it looks like, it almost looks like a container of sorts. And that's a fun thing that we can do, with Zentangle, is we kind of have that, we have the pattern, and then we can have fun with it after. You kind of learn the tangle, and then, add your own spin. I always like to make sure that I'm at least... have the tangle for the most part in there. All right, but I think, and I just thought, that kind of looks neat, because then you can kind of have them rolling out a little bit, like almost like if these were little pebbles, and they got caught up in this, and you have some that are kind of rolling away a little bit. Just kind of fun. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and push pause really quick, finish up doing these orbs, and then share some shading tips. Okay, be right back. All right, so we are orb filled, and I just want to share one other tidbit about doing orbs, and that is, now I don't know if you can see, so over here, I have filled in these little gaps. So this is something that we generally do when we do the tangle tipple. It's one of those you don't have to do it. It depends on what look you want. But I just wanted to share, what it looks like, kind of done. Although some of it is like a little. Okay, there we go. It was a little bit sloppy there. There we go. But you see, it adds a little bit to the texture, and it's just these little gaps that that when you're drawing orbs, you're not gonna have those filled in. Because just like little bubbles, there's those little spaces that just happen. And so it, like I said, it adds a neat effect, but it's something that, if you don't want to do that, of course you don't have to. But I wanted to at least share, like kind of like before, after. Now, with that, I can still do my shading now. So here's what we're going to do. And we're going to essentially do this the same way that I would do Hullabow. So finding... Enough. We'll find your first squiggly line, and what I'm going to do, I'm putting graphite on the outside of it, And I am crossing where, where there are things underneath. So I am crossing those. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, well, no, it depends on what your tangle looks like, how much open space, and I'm thinking of the filling in, because by adding the graphite, you might not have to fill in as much of those little orb spaces, because I'm thinking, oh, well, it's kind of taking care of it with the with using the shading. So now I'm just using my tortillon, going on the outside and spreading that, working really hard not to go inside that. And what I think is so cool, so even with, how about, it's like, look at how that has just popped off the page, number one. And then number two, it's almost like the color has changed. Like, this has become lighter than even the outside that I haven't touched with graphite. Just amazing. So then after that, because I always like to do that first one, because it's like, oh my gosh, look at how that pops. But essentially what we're going to do is on every, well, it's not a straight line, but on every solid line, we'll say, when I do hollow bow, I can say straight line. But every solid line. So what this does is, okay, and I'm going to flip, because it's like sometimes I get a little lost and miss some things. But what this does is, as long as you're putting the graphite on the outside where there is a line, then it takes care of emphasizing the over and under, or really it's just the under. Well, no, because at the same time, this is over. We'll say, and let me finish this, and let me do this side here, so that way you can see. What I used to do with these, and it was just probably how I learned it right first off, was I would put a little bit of graphite just right here. And actually, I'll go ahead and get this side here. So just where it went under, and that's all I would do. And while it does emphasize, the going under another thing, doing it this way, number one, it's a lot easier. And it takes care of that. Plus, it adds a little bit to the background. So because I'm spreading it out a little ways, let me get this side, it's also adding, adding to the background, which is also neat. Oops, and I didn't get that other one. That's okay. Did I get this side? And this is where sometimes it's like, okay, it's sometimes easier to just put all the graphite down and then use the tortillon, because I still always find ones in places that I missed. But, oops, and sorry for the shaky camera there. Okay, okay, then up here. And so what's neat too is that where it is denser, just naturally, then you end up with a little bit more graphite, which then in turn sinks that area down a little bit further, because when you put the graphite on, that essentially makes it go down. And if you were adding, like, say, white charcoal, that would raise something else up. But for this, it's just it would be the natural tile color, and making sure that we have some of that, and then that gets brought up. Like I said, this one just making sure to go on the outside of all of your sections. I think I might have it all. All right. And then depending on the amount of space you have, also determines, so I'm trying not to go out too far, but if you were working on something larger and you have more space, you can go out as far as you need to. The main thing, like I mentioned, is just ensuring that you have some original tile color left. And even if it's just, like even here, there's just a little bit here, it adds to the overall effect. And almost done with this, but I think, let's say, I haven't looked at it through the camera, and that's always neat. All right. There was somewhere else, but now I can't even find it, so that should be okay. All right. And so look at how much, just look at how much depth that has. And it's just, I don't know. I am continually fascinated and amazed that it's kind of like, oh, look it, I did that. How cool is that? Because coming from someone that I do not consider myself an artist, because I don't think I could draw a stick figure to save my life. But that's this is just, oh, here, this is where I missed. Just absolutely fascinating to be able to create something that looks like this. It's just thrilling to me. So I hope you enjoyed it. And it's, like I said, it's a little bit different take on Halabow. And using orbs behind it. You were Halabow. We generally you can put something in the negative space, they call it, or just leave it with the shading. So, in any case, I hope you enjoyed this Mysteria, and if you did, I would love to have a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed yet to my channel, would love to have you as a subscriber. And if you do hit that button to subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell next to it so you can decide how you want to be notified, if you want to be notified at all. In the description section, you'll find the step out for this, as well as ways to connect with me if you want to. I do both paid and free classes. I do free classes weekly, and right now I have one paid class monthly. I'm going to be adding to that. If you are interested in something, they're a little bit longer, a little bit more in depth, and if you're interested in such a thing and you check that out, do check out the Tangle Addicts Club, because I have a special deal going there. So with that, I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you happy tangling.